I'm Amy Jo Martin. Welcome to the Why Not Now show. You know that thing you've been thinking about doing? Yeah, that one. Why not now? Have you ever actually taken the time to ask yourself, what's stopping me? Let's talk it through. This is your chance to give that idea the attention it deserves and take action. Each episode, I have a chat with a fascinating person, from entrepreneurs to athletes, celebrities, my parents, rocket scientists, and all walks of life. We talk through a critical time when they've asked themselves, why not now? We dissect that day or even that moment, step by step. Today we have Jessica Sears on the show. She built a tiny home, and she's a Why Not Now listener. She talks through her decision, how she did it, that why not now moment, and the very first thing she did to build her tiny home, and why she did it. Before we get to her, I want to share a little bit about a side project, a side hustle I've been working on with my husband. He's really been the lead, and I've been more of the support. But we just started another company called Baby Beats. And the company was really born from, no pun intended, from the idea of identifying where my husband, who's a musician, where his passion, purpose, and skill collide. So we were on a walk more than a year ago, and we're talking through this intersection for him. And his passion and his skill really revolves around music. And we've been on our own fertility journey with trying to start a family. So we've had this kind of purpose floating around on that front. I got to thinking and I said, what if we took the heartbeat of a baby in utero? So having a pregnant mother record the heartbeat of the baby as she's pregnant and create music around it. And you kind of use that heartbeat as the anchor, as kind of the beat, the drum, the bass. I'm not a musician, so I might be saying this wrong, but Richard can correct me. And you create a song, a custom song for expecting parents. And we took this idea and started to work on it and develop it more. And we've created baby beats, and they're actually videos. There's images of the expecting parents and their journey and the heartbeat of the baby with a song. And so these are perfect for announcement videos for expecting parents who are sharing with the world. They're getting ready to have a baby. And they're really good for baby shower gifts. I've given them myself to expecting moms and friends who are having babies, and they're a hit. So we'd love for you to check them out. Yourbabybeats.com is the website. And we've just gotten started, and we're hoping to get all types of feedback. We really are excited about this process, and I am going to have Richard come on the show and talk through how this all happened, the why not now moment, the very first things we did, and how we've navigated this journey. For me, it's a complete side hustle, lots of other things going on. And for Richard, he's a first-time entrepreneur. So it's been really fun to watch him and his entrepreneurial spirit shine. We've gone through the patent process, and so what that's like, it's a pure why not now idea that has now come to life. So if you want to check out the Baby Beats website, it's yourbabybeats.com. And we're giving everyone on the show a 25% discount off of a baby beat if you're interested. So at checkout, you can use a coupon, and that coupon is just why not now, no caps. So when you get through the process and you're at checkout, enter in why not now, and you'll get 25% off. So these are great for baby shower gifts and also for announcement videos for parents who want to share the news, especially via social media. And it's just a really cool video with images, maternity images, or just images of the parents and their baby's heartbeat. So check out yourbabybeats.com. We are open to all feedback. And if you have ideas on how we can grow this thing, let us know. That's our current Why Not Now idea in full effect. Quick thanks to everyone who listened to last week's episode. It was new and unique. First time I've ever done a solo episode, so I appreciate your support and feedback, especially those of you who answered the survey. And you can still do that. Go to amyjomartin.com/survey. A few quick questions. This allows us to keep the show as effective and interesting and entertaining as possible for you. So we would love your feedback. If you can do that for us, I'm highly grateful. Switching gears to today's guest, Jessica Sears. She lived in Boston, San Diego, and San Francisco. And over the space of a couple of years, she realized she had spent $100,000 in rent alone. That doesn't include utilities or any other expenses, just rent. And then she decided she wanted to build a tiny home. Jessica is a Why Not Now listener, and I had the opportunity to interview her about the process, and I'm highly curious about tiny homes. I've watched various documentaries. They're fascinating. It's really cool to see how she's been able to create her own space. It's also sustainable and really be more financially strategic. If you look at the numbers and what she lays out, how she got the land, how she decided to actually move forward with this, and the very first thing she did, it's really smart. And also, you have to check out the photos of her tiny home. If you go to my Instagram handle is @AmyJoMartin. Or if you go to amyjomartin.com/why not now, Jessica Sears, Sears, then you'll see photos. It's incredible to see how she's designed this place. It looks like something out of a magazine. So let's hear from Jessica, how she got started with this tiny home, the moment she decided, what she did, and why. Here's Jessica. We tackle the most taboo topics on the Why Not Now show. Oftentimes, you're hearing guests share things they've never shared before. In the spirit of things we don't typically talk about, you should know that the Why Not Now show is supported by Poo-Pourri. Yep, the original before you go toilet spray. It's magic. My friends at Poo-Pourri have literally taken the smell out of you-know-what. This pure blend of essential oils stops bathroom odor before it begins. Visit poopourri.com, and Why Not Now listeners get 20% off with code WHYNOTNOW. That's all one word. Also, you can now get Poo-Pourri at Target. Jessica, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm outstanding, Amy. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor and privilege to just connect with you, so I'm super grateful. Thank you.
Likewise, and I understand you're sitting in your tiny home right now.
I am.
Tell me about this. This was a pure Why Not Now moment, it sounds like to me, and I have a lot of appreciation for what you've done.
Well, thank you. Yes, I live in a tiny home. It's definitely one of the best Why Not Now decisions I've ever made. And just thinking about all the things that you own, clothes, electronics, kitchenware, everything. And now imagining having to kind of stuff all of that, cram it into 200 square feet. And not only that, but you need a bathroom, a bedroom, a kitchen. So yeah, welcome to the tiny house movement. It's really consolidating, becoming a minimalist. And yeah, it's just one of my best Why Not Now decisions that I've ever made.
How did this happen? What was the actual Why Not Now moment? I'm sure you had been thinking about it. When did you pull the trigger?
Yeah, great question. So I think I've actually maybe told you this before, but I attended a 4-day seminar, and I had been thinking about building a tiny home for a really long time. And, I was kind of just going through all the excuses in my head. Oh, one day. And there was really no shortage of opportunity for me, but I was just kind of limiting myself to make it happen. And, after that weekend, I really just decided that that would be kind of my tipping point to change environmentally and financially and my work from home life and starting my business out of my tiny home. So a lot of things really went into the tiny home decision. But it was really that conference that really kind of pushed me over the edge to make that first move and put my down payment down because, everyone always says what's written is real, but I always edit it to what is scheduled is real. So just taking that scheduling of the down payment and the builder and really just kind of getting the gears rolling on it was my why not now moment. And essentially where I started to take more defined and focused action because I knew that this is where I wanted to be working, where I wanted to start my company, and where I wanted to make things happen. So that was my why not now after that conference or during that conference.
Couple takeaways as I'm listening to you. I'm hearing, okay, money, scheduling, so time, but also the money, the down payment. That's a surefire way to make yourself follow through. And this became a bit of a cocoon, it sounds like, for a lot of other changes in your life. But back to that, writing that check or transferring or whatever it is. I don't know who writes checks anymore. But I'm sure people still do. You wrote the check. Financials of this. I've heard you talk a little bit about how you worked the numbers both ways, if you were to go this route or not. And obviously money is usually a big aspect of our decision making. How did that net out? What did you learn after you did the numbers?
Yeah, so most people actually, that's the first question they ask me. They're like, "Whoa, how much did it cost?" And for me, I'm not super smart with my financials, but I'm learning to be more cognizant. And this was a huge decision because it was, hey, am I going to build a house one day and follow that societal norm of, moving into the house and then da-di-da and da-di-da, or am I going to take this path and, not be scared to be a little bit weird and move into this house? So I started reviewing some of the financials behind it. So for over 60,000 renters, 35% or more of their annual income goes towards housing. And I also studied mortgage costs. So those are even higher. So an annual median cost of $26,000 or more. So having lived in some of the most expensive areas in the United States, I moved from renting a home in Boston, renting a home in San Diego, and then coming to San Francisco and not being able to afford a home and renting an apartment with two guys. And, I'm 30. I wanted to start my own life, have my own space, my own home, my own home office. And I just started to ask myself, why am I paying this much for rent? Over the past 4 years, looking at my finances, living in these expensive cities, and I threw $48,000 away living in Boston for 2 years, $30,000 away in San Diego for just 1 year. And then in San Francisco, it's like exponential. So I won't even go into that. It's even living with two people. So, all these figures aren't even including my energy costs, utilities, and everything came out to be over $100,000. So literally, Amy, why not now? You're like in my mind, by the way, every time I have why not now moments. Like even this morning, I was walking down the street and I was like, oh, Amy, come on. So they just keep piling up. But this was a huge one for me. So yeah, a lot of people ask me about the cost and the price and what went into my decision behind it. And that was really a big factor for me.
That is so interesting. The stat, out of 600,000 renters, 35% of their income goes toward housing. And that's renting. That is not building any kind of equity. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. And you were well into six figures with your renting history there in those three different cities, I'm sure. So it's financially, it's there's a case. It's compelling. And taking the money out of it, why else? Why did you want to live in a tiny home?
Yeah, taking the money out of it, really one of my bigger reasons for moving into a tiny home was just the sustainable living and getting into more of the environmental reasons. So I have been vegan for a year, and I was really living that, whole foods, plant-based lifestyle, save the planet. And yet I was renting a home that really wasn't sustainable for the environment. So that was really another compelling reason for me. And tiny houses make the most of the space that they have. So rather than being built like a traditional home where the shell is complete, the tiny houses are built from the inside out. So it's just more conscious space and using that space effectively. And I think that's become really kind of lost in our mainstream culture, from, the days of the cavemen, right? Like using your space to its fullest advantage. And I think we've come to this, place in our society where bigger is better. And really the environmental impact of our housing is exponential, and it's causing a lot of global warming problems. So that was a huge factor for me. The size of the house really reduces heating and cooling costs. My house is completely sustainable. So there's solar panel hookups on my roof, and it's a fraction of the cost to power the home with solar energy. And there's an incinerating toilet, so totally compost. And then, just by default, you're reducing your water consumption. So through the proper application of green technology, it's even possible to live net zero and completely off the grid in a tiny home. So even if the house were connected to city power or a grid and took water in like a traditional home, energy and water consumption costs would just be significantly reduced. So yeah, that was kind of another why for me. And it was one of these moments where I wasn't necessarily living that lifestyle to its fullest. I was, living it through my diet and saving water and saving the planet that way. But owning a tiny home, you're almost forced to watch what you're consuming and what you're using and what you need. So in my case, composting really changed my life, solar, and just being a minimalist, which was kind of hard. I had to downsize a lot.
I can appreciate to a certain extent because I lived on a boat for about a year, and it was probably right around that 200 square foot mark, although it's obviously laid out a little differently, but I found it to be an exercise in simplicity, and I'm going to call it mindful living, even though that word can be overused, but you are intentional about your water, about what you need. What you really want is not always what you think you want in terms of items and material, just objects. And I found it really liberating, So it's like empowering to know that you really don't need that much. And curious minds want to know, I'm sure, land in San Francisco is not cheap. So what do you do about having a plot of land to have your home on?
Great question. So it's really hard to find land. And I took the leap into tiny home building and planning and making payments before I actually found land for my home to be on. So I really was taking a blind leap, but I'm really grateful because I found a really cool setup. I'm renting land for dirt cheap from somebody right outside the city. So I'm located right outside Berkeley. I'm still in the action of the city, and I'm able to just pop in and out really quickly. And I work from home, so my commute is nothing. So yeah, I'm just feeling really grateful. And you have to network. You have to get into the tiny home community. There's a few of us in the Bay Area, and we all have a little chat group, and we're connected. Yeah, I mean, it's really about the community and networking and being able to find a space for your home because, it's hard to find land. But hey, once you set the gears in motion, things will start to gravitate towards you. And I just felt so much love and just respect and authenticity from the community in the tiny home community, and just joining Facebook groups and connecting on social media. And it really filled me with gratitude just to be able to have the opportunity to be here. So I am renting land dirt cheap, and I think in the future I'm planning on buying dirt cheap land and just being completely debt free.
Awesome. Very, very impressive. And what's the oddest question you've received before from someone wanting to know more about your tiny home?
That's a really good question. I mean, There's been so many weird questions, but I think a lot of it is just having to do with the minimalism and how I'm, especially for women, like, oh my God, how did you fit all of your clothes in there? That kind of stuff. But I actually completely designed my tiny home from scratch. So I designed it myself, everything. We did 3D image drawings of it. And then the company I used, Mint Tiny Homes, they brought it to life. But I designed it so that I have a walk-in closet in my tiny home, and I have tons of space. I have a full-sized kitchen, full-sized appliances, a really cool antique Italian fridge, a Smeg fridge, and full-size shower. So I really planned the space around my specific lifestyle. And I think that, if you're listening and you want to build a tiny home, it's really important maybe to think about some of your personal habits and what you would need and what you don't need, because the space is limited, and you need to be conscious of what your personal preferences are. But other than women asking where the heck my clothes are, there hasn't been too many weird questions. I don't know. Nothing too crazy is coming to mind besides, the standard questions, how much does it cost? Where do you park it? How do you live? What's composting all about? How does your stove work? All of that good stuff.
It's great to hear the story behind it and how you navigate it. I'll make sure to share photos. So if you visit amyjomartin.com/why not now, you'll be able to get to, the online version of the episode, and you'll see photos, as well as I'll post them on social as well, so people can see how cool it is. You've done a great job in designing this. And thank you for coming on, Jessica, and for listening, and for why not nowing, and just being such a cool advocate for minimalism.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, Amy, for just allowing me the opportunity to share. It's so awesome. Thanks so much.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening to the show. Hit me up on social media to let me know what you think. I'm at Amy Jo Martin on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And I want to hear your why not now moments so I can share them on the show. Just send me a note to whynotnow@amyjomartin.com. For show notes and other offers, you can visit amyjomartin.com/whynotnow. And while you're there, don't forget to sign up for my email newsletter for exclusive content and announcements. A big thanks to Rock Salt Music for all of the tunes by the talented John Coggins. And of course, a hat tip to Richard Brewer for editing and producing the show. I'll see you next time, and until then, why not now?